How's everyone? Grant here. Welcome back to the channel. And I know I'm a bit late to the party here, but the LG G7 ThinQ was announced earlier this week, so I just thought I would put my thoughts out there just to join the conversation. And just for fun, I thought I would film this on the front-facing camera on the LG G6. This is the Korean version and it's updated to Android Oreo, so let me know what you think about the video quality here. But it does seem to be called the LG G7 ThinQ. Other people are speculating it might be called Think, but LG themselves are calling it ThinQ, so we'll just go with that. Think would have made a lot more sense given just like every other company, LG is hyping up the artificial intelligence features of the camera, so Think probably would have made more sense, but we'll just go with ThinQ or just the G7. And so this phone seems to be getting a lot of heat from a lot of folks saying that it's not a lot of innovation from LG, it's just an incremental update, and I totally agree with all that. Those were my initial reactions when I first saw the specs and saw the G7 after the announcement. I thought, meh, myself, not really something interesting. But after having a few days to really think about it and take a step back, given a look at what Samsung has produced earlier this year between the S8 and the S9, that was a very incremental update as well. And a lot of people were saying the same things there. But in the end, people really thought the majority of the opinion was that the S9 Plus and S9 were great phones over the S8 and S9 Plus even. And I think Samsung made the right adjustments and improvements to the S9 Plus and the S9 over the S8. And it turned out to be a great phone, so much so that I'm actually having an S9 coming in. I just think my S9 is so great. I want to try out the S9. I never thought I would do that. But getting back to the G7, I do think that LG has made the right updates here. I think they've kept everything great about the G6. So you're still getting your headphone jack, you're still getting your quad DAC, you still get the IP68 water resistance from the G6, and they've made the right improvements where they needed to, even more so than probably Samsung. And I get it, you can probably argue that LG had a bigger gap to fill, but it's still the same right incremental improvements to me. So they've changed the design more so than Samsung had to, but I don't think Samsung had to change their design. But the G7 looks more like a V30, which I don't really have a problem with. I think the V30 looks better than the G6. And they made the right internal adjustments. So you're getting the latest and greatest Snapdragon 845 processor. And LG took a lot of heat last year on the G6 for going with the 821 instead of the current top-of-the-line processor, which was the 835 at the time. So they made that correction. You're getting the top-of-the-line Snapdragon 845 in the G7. You're also getting improved cameras. You're supposedly getting a louder and better sounding speaker and a better, brighter LCD display. So these are all areas that were criticized on the G6. And I think Samsung made the right adjustments and put the energy into improving the right things in the G7 ThinQ. And I do get the feelings of it's not enough to only have 4 gigs of RAM or a smaller capacity, 3000 mAh battery. But there's a bunch of phones that run fine on 4 gigs of RAM and deliver good enough battery life on 3000 mAh. So it just depends on how LG is optimizing their software with all the rest of the hardware components to deliver a good experience in that regard. So I'll reserve judgment until I get the phone. I think 4 gigs could work. I don't know that I really need 6 gigs unless you have a Samsung device. I really think maybe Samsung does apparently need those 6 gigs of RAM based on their software, but I'm not sure about LG. That remains to be seen. 4 gigs could work. 3000 mAh batteries. I have other phones with 3000 mAh batteries that last me all day, all night, like the HTC U Ultra last year. It got ripped for having 3000 mAh battery, but I got all day and all night battery life out of that thing. And so it just remains to be seen on how LG optimizes all the components and their software together. And so of course I'm going to wait to reserve final judgment until I get it in hand, which probably won't be until June, at least here in the US, and probably the rest of the world outside of Korea. At least that's what the initial reports are indicating. And also depending on price, because the initial pricing, from what I can see, the UK pricing came out, seems to be about $650, which translates to maybe $850, a little bit more than that here in the US. And that's probably more than I'm willing to pay and probably more than a lot of people are willing to pay. And given how the G6 dropped in price so quickly, I think a lot of people are going to wait, including myself. But eventually I will get the G7 in hand and I'll be able to give you my actual opinion after using it. But these are just my initial impressions after taking a step back after a couple of days. For all the people who are saying it's a little bit boring, I kind of agreed with you at first. But looking at it now, I think LG has kept everything great about the G6, made the right improvements, at least on paper, on the G7 ThinQ, and it looks like a pretty good looking device. I know we all want innovation in the industry, but even pretty much the largest Android manufacturer in Samsung hasn't taken that leap yet this year. So I think we can give LG a little bit of a break on that and just try to enjoy the LG G7 for what it is. But again, those are just my opinions. I also want to hear what you had to think about it. Do you like the improvements that LG has made in the G7, or is this just another pass for you, not enough of an improvement? But leave your comment down below. Let's continue discussion down there. And always remember, one love, no technology religion. Enjoy what you've got. But more importantly, thanks for watching, everyone.